Anken Ma'at. I am so pleased to be back here with you. I am hoping that your Sunday is going neferly, wonderfully. It's good to be back in the United States and back with you. This is Kemetic Ascension, brought to you by the Shrine of Ma'at. Welcome to our gathering for August 29th, 2021. We are so pleased that you're here with us. And if you have been a regular part of this important gathering, that the first thing we're going to do is ask you to give us a powerful shout out. Let's hear where you are in this wonderful world and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. Those are the two questions you should know by now that we're generally going to ask at the beginning. Tell us where you are in the world and tell us how long you have been partaking in Kemetic Ascension. This is also a really good time for you to go ahead, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and share, like. Go ahead and send it to folks that you believe should also be part of this gathering. Because we know that there are others that hear the echo of the powerful voice of our African ancestors, just like you. They may not know that we are here. Allow them to connect. Go ahead and go ahead and share. We're hoping that you will broaden the audience that we are reaching on YouTube and Facebook. So please tell us where you are in the world and how long you have been part of Kemetic Ascension. Do we have any answers, Anika?
Yes, we do. It's moving pretty quickly. So we have a boots a shot in the house repping New England.
New England, not Connecticut. She's saying New England today?
The woods.
Anken Ma'at.
We have Sedette Cheryl in Landover, Maryland. Member of the Shrine.
We have a member of the Wenwet, a member of the full body of the Shrine of Ma'at, Sedette Cheryl, and a Butsa Shot, one of the leaders of the Shrine of Ma'at. Welcome. You were missed while we were traveling on the continent of our origin.
We have Cortia from Atlanta.
Cortia, go ahead, Cortia. How are you doing?
Who's been here with us for about 2 years now.
Wonderful. These are names that are familiar right off the bat.
Yes. Yakira Bayer.
Is that a new name? No, Yakira Bayer, I've heard that name before.
Nice to be here again.
Good,
Tracy
wonderful.
from Indianapolis, Indiana.
Go ahead, Tracy.
Virgo Venom.
Yes, Sinette Tracy, it's good that you're here with us.
We have another member of our shrine, Lady Het Davis. Or Lady Het, I said Lady Het Davis.
Lady Het Davis, Anken Ma'at. I think I've seen some interesting photos you put up on Facebook recently as well. Anken Ma'at, it's good that you're here with us.
Jason Holmes is in the house.
Jason Holmes is always here. Welcome, dear son.
We have G. Brooks Brown from Las Vegas, Nevada.
Now, have I heard that name before? That
sounds for the last few months.
Okay, G. Brooks Brown. It sounds like vaguely familiar. Like maybe I've heard it once before. Welcome back.
We have Andre Bryant from South Jersey, and thank you, Twa'u, for your donation, Andre. We received it. Same for Sinette Tracy, Twa'u, for your donation. We appreciate that. We have Sen Gaston Brian out in Arizona.
Wonderful. Always with us. Welcome, Sen Gaston.
We have Gia New Spring from Lake Worth Beach, Florida.
That sounds new to
about
me.
4 months.
No? Mm-hmm. Welcome back.
Michelle Miller from Richmond, Virginia, watching for about a year.
Welcome, Sinette Michelle.
Ramu Tefkev, we know he's been in the house for a while.
Yes.
Pittsburgh, for 4 years now.
Welcome, brother. Welcome.
Let's see, Benita Sutton, who's back with us again.
I haven't. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Benita Sutton. Benita, you lived in New York, didn't you? Didn't we?
North Carolina is what she is now.
I thought she lived in New York, though. Didn't she live in New York and work with us at M&N?
Not sure.
Maybe.
Jason's birthday in Lincoln, Nebraska.
Go ahead. For how long?
about 5 to 6 years.
Wonderful, wonderful.
We have Jehuti Mess OG the fourth.
Jehuti Mess OG the fourth.
Since the 90s.
Can we go ahead and say dua to him as well? I was going to say a special thanks, and I probably will again, for trying to hold down the shrine while we were gone. It was really helpful to know that we had some eyes on the shrine, on our home, while we were traveling in the motherland. Dua, dua, dua. It's always good that we have trusted people that we can count on. So, and we're pleased that you were able to do that. We say thank you, dua, dua, dua. And we have something for you too. So we'll talk about that later.
We have Keisha Johnson from Philadelphia.
Welcome, Philly in the house. Philly is always strong for the Shrine of Ma'at.
That's 4 years or more, still learning.
Mm.
Ankh Amun-Ra from Dallas.
Wow, powerful name. Welcome.
Matthew Daniels.
Welcome.
The Ankh Amadi says to translate, so it means life in balance. Sometimes you'll hear Ankh En Ma'at or Ankh Em Ma'at, which is life of balance.
Mm-hmm. And some people might just translate it generally as living in balance. You know, it's a reminder that you have to connect yourself to the ethical, moral, universal guide of your African ancestors known as Ma'at.
Sen Daniel LaRoche is in the house.
Sen Daniel, how are you? It is wonderful to hear your voice. We spent a lot of time with Sen Daniel and his family on our trip to Kemet this year. And he was really a welcomed addition for all of his questions and all of his, he was always upbeat and awake and excited. That's good, because that trip is grueling, right, Sen Daniel? It's grueling. I wonder if Sen Daniel has recovered yet. I wonder if your beautiful queen and your daughters have recovered yet. It is wonderful to hear that you're with us. You should also know that Sen Daniel is the author of a wonderful book on how to actually successfully become a powerful Black man. I mean, I really think that you should take a look at it. It is available on Amazon, if I remember correctly. So please take a look at it. Sen Daniel is trying to make an important contribution to our community. So it's good to hear that you're in the house.
Yes, we have Bro Sakem out in Philly.
Bro Sakem, I owe you a phone call. It has been busy. It has been busy. We got back and started running. I see that you tried to reach me a few times. I owe you a phone call. Definitely, I'd love to sit down with you in the next week or two. Okay. And we're also going to be doing a tour of the Penn Museum soon as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing you.
The name on here is Assert Monique. Now I know that's not your birth name, and I can't remember whose account that is, but that person traveled with us. It says Houston, Texas. So remind me who that is, because I do remember the name, but I don't know who to match it with. So let us know. And I believe I want to say it's, I'm not even gonna guess, but I know it's on travel with us, but she's representing Houston, Texas. And we have Sandra.
Houston, Arrington. Texas. Who else was in Texas that traveled with us? Well, Taisha was in. Wasn't Taisha in
I want to say it's Trisha.
I'm sorry, Naisha was in Texas.
Possibly, so it's one of them.
Right. Yeah.
Let's see. Lady Het Davis is out in Colorado.
I didn't remember she was in Colorado.
Yeah.
I did not remember you were on the West Coast.
Sinet Fafanta is out in Hyattsville.
Yeah. Sinet Fafanta, full member, another full member of the Shrine of Ma'at. Ankh and Ma'at to you. Welcome.
Larry Jackson Jr. out in Daytona Beach, Florida.
Wonderful. Florida in the house.
The Chafers from Ghana are here.
Wow. Yeah. Ankh and Ma'at. It's good to hear you.
They were trying to catch up with us when we were in Ghana. They relocated from Texas 6 months ago. Yeah, it was a busy trip.
It was really a busy trip. And our trip in Ghana was not as long as our trip in Kemet. So it was a little more difficult for us to get around. But you should also know that we will be back regularly. We're intending to return to Ghana so often as we try to make it our second home.
We have Tanya another member of the
Go
tribe.
ahead, go ahead. Welcome, welcome.
Alana Roberts from upstate New York.
Ankin Ma'at to you. I wonder where in upstate New York.
Let us know.
I wonder where in upstate New York.
Nebetra Anna Hetep in Columbus, Ohio.
Nebetra Ama Hetep?
Uh-huh.
Interesting name. Very interesting name. I wonder how you received it. I'd love to know the story.
Pseudo charlatan Suray the second.
Pseudo who?
Charlatan.
Pseudo charlatan. Somebody's having fun with their name is basically what's happening.
Willie Tolles from Indiana.
Ankin Ma'at, a name that we've heard before as well. Someone who's been with us.
Umar X, which is Lamarck from Texas, I believe it is.
Welcome, Ankin Ma'at.
Tamika Seeley from Brooklyn, first time, welcome.
Oh, wonderful. First timer. Wonderful, wonderful.
Benita said that she has not lived in New York.
No, I'm confusing you with another Benita. Yeah.
Irving Jefferson from Houston, Texas. Sinette Anna Rodriguez in the house.
Who is one of the Hamsenu and has been with us from day one. How are you, Sinette Anna? How is your mother? I hope that all is well for you.
Okay. The Chafers said they were able to donate a Hesse to us, written by Kum Rock. Was it? I'm sorry, but we did in our studio the Hesse you all wrote. Kumra, we emailed it to you. So we have to go look for it.
Really?
I have to check that
Did
out.
it in the studio? So you said you hooked it up, huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm looking forward to hearing that. We were thinking that we might do the Kumra Hesse today as well.
Yeah, so I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah, I'd love to see that.
Joanne Jahi Adisa from Columbus, Georgia.
Welcome, welcome.
Member of the Shrine Jehuti Ma'at Ra.
Jehuti Ma'at Ra out in Canada, Ontario. How are you, brother? How are you? I know that he is also in the military. I hope all is going well out there.
We have someone new, I believe it's Shaky from Puerto Rico, currently in Connecticut.
Shaky? Wonderful, wonderful. Welcome, welcome. We hope that we will see you many times from here on.
Sinette Adrian is in the house.
Sinette Adrian out of Philly. Welcome, always with us. Welcome, welcome.
Ben Lee out in Mobile, Alabama.
Yes, and Lee, who we've been in communication with. Wonderful. Good to hear you out there, brother.
Terrence English from New Rochelle, New York, watching for 6 months.
Terrence English. We know that name, don't we? Terrence English. We know you, Terrence. I'm just trying to listen. Brother Jabari has still not recovered from the trip. I'll tell you that much. And I got very little sleep last night. So
assert what it was Trish.
It was Trish.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, great.
Good.
So that Nikki, how you doing?
Sinette Nikki, which Nikki?
Taylor.
Nikki Taylor,
Yeah,
how are you?
yeah.
Ankin Ma'at. We have
There's
two.
only one Nikki.
But we have two Nikkis that are part of the shrine. We have two Nikkis that are part of the shrine.
Yes, yes. Sinette Demetra.
Wonderful. Welcome, Sinette Demetra. Welcome, welcome.
Oh, I think this must be Jabbar. It says Ankin Ma'at from South Beach, Miami, but it says Shrine of Ma'at, so it must be Jabbar.
Yes. We know you've been out there for your Queen's Earth Day. Can we say Nefer Solar return to her? And it looks like y'all are having a good time too. So have fun, have fun, have fun.
Oh, wow. Let's see. Ooh, Ron Barber. We have Nasu West.
Ron Barber, I think we've heard before. Nasu West.
From London, UK.
Yes, who is regularly on. Welcome from across the pond. Welcome, welcome.
Sen William.
Which Sen William Tildy forever?
Yes.
Welcome. It's good to hear that you're still out there kicking, brother. We are overdue for a conversation. We've just been so busy. But he's been doing important work out there in Arizona on the West Coast and has been really thinking a lot about how the Shrine of Ma'at will move to the West Coast. So we need to actually talk with him. The priests are actually trying to prepare something as well so that we can sit and chat with you about what you think should happen.
Bashir Campbell, who's interested in being an initiate, that will be available. The applications for that will be available around early December, and we'll start initiation late February, early March of 2022.
It's coming. It feels like we just got through our last group, Keperu Rama'at. But we're on the point where we actually should expect that we're bringing in another group really soon too.
Jennifer Tidwell from Akron, Ohio.
Wonderful. Ankh Ma'at, Ankh Ma'at.
Sam Cleo.
Sen Cleo, Ankh Ma'at, one of the members of the Hemsanu.
Sinek Glenda.
Ankh Ma'at, another member.
I hope I pronounced this correct. Nay Ankh.
Ankh Ma'at.
Virginia.
Ankh Ma'at. Good to hear you're there, out in Virginia.
Larry Chandler from North Philly.
Ankh Ma'at, that name is familiar. Others?
Oh, so it's not Shaky, it's Shaki.
Shaki.
All right.
Right.
Gotcha. Thank you. Shaki.
Good. Shaki, that was from Puerto Rico, right?
Yes.
Yes. I thought Shaky was odd, but I wasn't going to say nothing. I was just saying.
It's
That's your name, but you know.
Jay from Massachusetts.
Welcome, Jay.
Tanja Bennett from African Genesis.
Oh, wow. How are you, Sinek Tanja? Wow, someone we haven't seen in a little while. Or did we see Tanja at the Janasa? I'm trying to remember if we saw her there.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Susan Pope from Trinidad.
Ankh Ma'at.
Oh, there's a lot of people today.
A lot of people.
Clarence Kimball from Charlotte.
And I've been so tempted to say to Anika, let's move on, but we really want to make sure that
Green and Carlos Lewis from North Carolina.
Wow, go ahead, Ankh Ma'at.
Temu Kepra Ogun. Ngozi Amaka from Nigeria.
Woo! That name got all kinds of energy shaking on.
We are all over the world right now. I think I've gotten almost everyone.
Can I say Ankh Ma'at to you all? It is amazing. It is unfurled to be back with you. You know that we were traveling in Kemet and traveling in Ghana. And right off the bat, I have to say, it is wonderful to be back with you. I wish that I was a bit more rested so I could really enjoy it. But I should say to you that we're pleased that you've joined us. And I must at this point say a wonderful, powerful, divine dua to the Wenwet, who really stepped in and ran Kemetic Ascension the way that it should have been run. And we're so honored that we have these 9 priests who are on this journey with us, so that the work is not as difficult because we are sharing the load. And so we have those 9 members of the priesthood that we call the Wenwet. Dua for actually being there over the course of the last month, because it really has been a month, right? I think almost a month. We actually greeted you and then turned things over on August 1st, and it is now August 29th, and we haven't really been speaking to you in the United States since then. So we have to say Ankh Ma'at to all of you, and dua once again to the Wenwet. Dua, dua, dua. So we have folks from all over, and I want to really honor the fact that I know that, like me, you have heard the call. You are absolutely responding to the voice of your African ancestors, just as we are. And so we salute you. We honor the divine in you as you honor the divine in us. Make sure that you are sharing this so that we can extend our reach. Share it far and wide. Like it on Facebook. Put it on your page. Go ahead and share it on YouTube. Please make sure that people are able to find this gathering, because we truly believe that this gathering is important. We truly believe that this gathering is going to allow us to do the things that we must do. So we are so happy that you are with us. Okay, so at this point of our gathering, before we begin anything in earnest, you know that we begin in the way that our elder has prescribed. Our elder, Baba Heru Ankh Samad Se Pata. By the way, can we say a powerful solar return to him? You might have seen, if you're following our pages, that we wished him a powerful solar return. He is in his 80th go around the sun. And so we are so pleased that he is still here with us. that he's still just as feisty as he was when we met him nearly 30 years ago, that he's still working and raising heck, let's say raising heck, making sure that our community is doing the things and receiving the things that it deserves. We want to honor you, and we honor you once again by doing the opening of the way. So, Anika, can you join me? Let's go ahead and begin. You know that the opening of the way is that ritual that acknowledges your fundamental divinity. It acknowledges that the cardinal points are you, that you are the universe, imbued with all of the powers and all of the rights and responsibilities of the universe. So please use them wisely. You're going to begin by standing in the pose of adoration. Step your left foot slightly forward, and then you're going to expose your palms in front of you. Can you tell that you can feel energy when you do that? Even if it's just radiant energy, you can feel it. Make sure that you put the left hand a little further forward than the right hand, and maybe even a little further up than the right hand. The left and the right hands are in some ways going to mirror your feet. Now, don't do this. I see people do this sometimes. They really just have the wrist turned that way. We don't usually see that in the imagery that our ancestors use. If you're going to bend your wrist at all, bend them ever so slightly. And from here, you're going to take a deep breath. Breathe into the abdomen, okay? Deep. Don't breathe up here. That's the way we breathe when we know that we are dealing with nervousness and conflict and all those inequities that beset us psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. Breathe from here the way that a baby would. It's usually also called diaphragmatic breathing or potbelly breathing. So breathe from here and then chant the word for divine life. Ankh. Let's begin.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Anetrak in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet.
Nuke in Bethet. Anetrak Hapi.
Anetrak Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Nuke Hapi.
Twal Winter. Turn to the right.
Anetrak Serket.
Anetrak Serket.
Nuke Serket.
Nuke Serket. Anetrak Kebsenu.
Anetrak Kebsenu.
Nuke Kebsenu.
Nuke Kebsenu.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Turn once more.
Anetrak Ast.
Anetrak Ast.
Nuke Ast.
Nuke Ast. Anetrak Amset.
Anetrak Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Nuke Amset.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Turn again.
Anetrak Neat.
Anetrak Neat.
Nuke Neat.
Nuke Neat. Anetrak Dwamutef.
Anetrak Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Nuke Dwamutef.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Anetrak Newt.
Anetrak Newt.
Nuke Newt.
Nuke Newt. Anetrak Geb.
Anetrak Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Nuke Geb.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter.
Anetrak Shu.
Anetrak Shu.
Shu. Shu. Shu. Shu. Nuke Shu.
Anetrak Tefnut.
Anetrak Tefnut. 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 Nuke Tefnut. Twal Winter. Anetrak Paut in Teru. Nuke Paut in Teru. Anetrak and Boo in Teru. Nuke and Boo in Teru. Twal Winter. Take your breath.
Twal Winter.
Twal Winter. Dwa, dwa, dwa. Dwa to you. Dwa to you. We are hoping that you are doing the opening of the way with us, because we want you to understand that this that we are doing is not theater. We are actually doing these movements in recognition of the powerful traditions of our African ancestors. We are expecting that you're going to do it with us. We're expecting that you're going to move into this powerful ritual with us instead of simply watching us. This is not theater. It is meant to be done together. And as we do it together, you can imagine that in some ways what we are doing is we are creating divine sacred resonance all throughout the world. That's a powerful thing. It's really a powerful thing. Now, I knew I hadn't charged this, and I got one charge out of it. That's what happens when you've been away for a month, right? I got one electrical charge out of it. And I just decided that I actually wanted to burn some incense. And of course, now my lighters are upstairs, so I have to burn this later for the altar. Let me go ahead and say that at this point in our gathering, what we do is we go into what we call Hesi. And Hesi, beloved, is when we actually call on divine energy together in harmony. You can consider it affirmation, you can consider it song, you can consider it the forerunner of gospel in many ways. You think perhaps that Africans actually started singing and praising the divine and connecting themselves to each other in song just when we actually were forced into Christianity? No, beloved. We have been doing this since long before anyone ever said the word Yeshua, anyone ever said the word Jesus, anyone ever even attempted to speak the name of Abraham. We have been doing these things for tens of thousands of years at the very least. So we're going to go into Hesi. And just as the Schaefer family was saying that they were working with that particular Hesi, Anika and I said that we should go ahead and do that Hesi again. It is actually the Hesi, one of the Hesi that come out of our shrine of origin, the shrine of Ptah. Sometimes we just call it the Qumran Hesi, Qumran. And you should know that it sounds something like this. Qumran, Qumran, Qumherura, Qumheruherura, Qumra ra ra ra, Qumherura, Qumheruherura. Can you see it's the kind of song that it generates energy. When you're doing it, you can feel it in your solar plexus. You can feel the divine light from inside building and radiating from your being. So we hope that you will do this as well. This is the rough translation. It means, may you rise like the sun that warms your face. That's kind of how that's what it sounds like. And I have also thought, no, that's not what Baba says. Baba says it means the hidden sun is revealed to my face. The power of the hidden sun is revealed to my face. I actually read this here. These were some English lyrics that I added to it that says, may you rise like the sun that warms your face. O ancestors, grant us your divine grace. These are some lyrics that I might add as well. But let's go ahead and do the Qumran Hesi together. Remember, we're doing it together. This isn't theater. Just because it's just the two of us in this room doesn't mean that there's not the two of us gathering, right? It's so much more than that. We know that hundreds of you, in fact, thousands of you by the end of the day will have viewed this. And we understand that if you do Hesi with us, something powerful occurs. So let's begin. Qumran, Qumran, Qumherura, Qumheruherura, Qumra ra ra ra, Qumherura, Qumheruherura, Qumra, Qumra, Qumherura, Qumheruherura, Qumra ra ra ra, Qumherura, Qumheruherura, Qumra, Qumra, Qumherura, Qumheruherura, Qumra ra ra ra, Qumherura, Qumheruherura, Qumra, Qumra, Qumherura, Qumheruherura, Qumra ra ra ra, kumra, kumra, kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra, kumra, ra, 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 kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra, kumra, kumra, kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra, kumra, ra, 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 kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra, kumra, kumra, kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra, kumra, ra, 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 kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra, kumra, kumra, kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra, kumra, ra, 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 kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra. I think that's beautiful. I think that's beautiful. It's a wonderful Hesi. We're hoping you're going to take it and use it. It was created by our elder, Baba Heru Ankra Samad Sepata. You could just go off on that one for a long time. And when you have lots of people in the room, perhaps you can have the Senetu, the sisters do it in one way, and the Senu, the brothers do it in another way. And you can try to do it in a round where one group begins a stanza after, and they continue and continue, and it really can draw divine energy and connect you to all the people around you. That is the Hesi we call Kumra. Kumra, kumra, kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra. Kumra, ra, 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 kumherura, kumheru, heru, ra, ra. Hopefully, and I know that some of you are saying, can you please write it down? I know that you're thinking that. We expect that we're going to have a sort of a compilation of Hesi coming to you shortly. So hopefully you will enjoy that one. Hopefully you will use that one. It will be able to be something that you can place into your spiritual repertoire, put it in the dynamic, powerful tool chest that you draw from when you are going about your day, when you are drawing and galvanizing divine energy, when you are doing those things that our ancestors expected you to do. The things that you came to this earth for. You know that your Ka, your soul, came here for a reason, right? When you are doing those things that you are expected to do, sometimes it might feel that you are being impeded. Sometimes it might feel like you are being prevented. Sometimes it might feel that there are hurdles, that there are blocks, that there are holes, that there are tacks, that there are crevices that prevent you from reaching your goal. I'm going to say to you, if you galvanize divine energy, none of those hurdles will prevent you from doing your divine work. So please utilize Hesi as part of your spiritual repertoire, and it will not fail you. So at this point in our gathering, we move into what we call the word from the Sebayit. And I always say, what is the Sebayit? The Sebayit is that body of literature that could be considered wisdom literature. The body of literature that speaks to our ancestors, speaks from our ancestors into this modern day, how to live a divine, everlasting life. And today I want to just begin by saying that while I am personally exhausted right now, take a look at how I was filled up. Can you see this image of those individuals who traveled with us this year to Kemet? It's a nice sized group, particularly for the situation that we're in. You're going to see that there are full members of the shrine there. You're going to see we have at least one priestess there with us. Abut Mahert or Abut Noni was there. You're going to see that we have people that were making this powerful, powerful journey so that they can rejuvenate their spiritual practice as well. You don't see this slide? What happened? Well, The PowerPoint is there. Is that too much work for you? Yeah, it probably is too right now. Well, I'm not sure why that slide didn't get in there. I'm sorry. But I really did want you to see those individuals who had made this journey, so that you could get a sense of what we were doing. And I have to, that means the next slide is not going to be there either. This year, something really unique occurred. My mother, who will be turning 80, I'm telling my mother's age. I used to get in trouble for doing that when I was a kid. Who will be turning 80 in May, made her journey with us. And I have to say to you that it was so special for me because she is literally the first family member to actually travel. This was our 18th trip to Kemet. None of my nuclear family, none of my close relatives have traveled with me. And that was one of those things that I was not pleased about. To have my mother on this journey with us was amazing, particularly because just last year, as you probably know, I lost my father. My father made his transition as an ancestor, and my mother has been kind of, in the house by herself, struggling during COVID because as an elder, the very little things that you should be going out and doing. I know that my older sister actually rarely lets her out by herself. My mother complains about that. My goodness, your sister won't let me go anywhere. And she doesn't get any commiseration from me because I agree that she should be going very few places with as dangerous as this world is that we're living through right now in 2020 and 2021. So definitely for her to travel with us to Kemet was amazing. And you're seeing her standing here actually in that city known as Waset, and you can see the sun setting on the waters of the Hapi. This is the view from the balcony of our hotel room. It was just magnificent, and we really enjoyed this journey. Now, while this journey was amazing, it was not lost on us that it was also difficult. That other slide isn't there either. It was meant to be. Oh my goodness. See what happens when you're working really late? Let me just say to you that as we made this journey, we always do a celebration, an acknowledgement of ancestral energy, because it is powerful to do this in that land where we initially talked about the power of the ancestors in writing. I sometimes people ask me who are less familiar with the history, they say, is Kemet the first nation? Absolutely not. But Kemet is the nation that is most influential in the early world, also because it becomes a nation that utilizes writing. And so the first writings about the power of the ancestors come forward from a Kemetic tongue. And so for us to be there and to recognize the transition of my father, Winfred Leafy Jacobs, the transition of one of the people that has been so important to Anika and myself throughout this journey, Ali Salahuddin, the co-founder of the African Genesis Institute, and also one other ancestor who recently made his transition. You should know that the day that we arrived on the ground, Anika and I thought that we would be able to, along with the Kemetic yoga master who was also on this trip with us, we figured that we would be able to have dinner with that wonderful elder, Renoko Rashidi, who has been close to us for a bunch of years. And that same day that we were looking to meet with him, we were staying in the same hotel. We received word that just about a half hour earlier, he was rushed to the hospital and that he actually passed away in Kemet while we were there. We were hoping that we were going to be able to see him, and that did not occur. So that was also very, very difficult. If you're on Facebook, you're going to see that all of the celebrations of his life, one of them is going to be happening today. Another one will be happening tomorrow. Please make sure that you are lighting a candle for those ancestors, and particularly for Renoko Rashidi, who did so much important primary work about the presence of African people throughout the world in places and nooks and crannies that you ought not expect us. And so it is really, really important that he is there. I don't know what you are motioning.
I have a slide now if you want to show.
Oh, okay, great. Mm-hmm. Which one? The one with Renoko or? Okay. And so definitely I really want to say that we recognize that the divine immortal soul of those ancestors were there with us. Renoko died in the place that he had taken so many Africans doing what he was most excited about. Anika is telling me that the image of the group is now there. She's actually done a little magic and has it there. You can see all of the group there. We traveled all together, about 33 of us, and it was amazing. Look at all of these faces. Why am I not seeing you, Sierra Hotep? Was he hiding somewhere? He's not even in here.
For some coconut water.
Oh my goodness. How did he not get in the group picture? Is it me, or are you not seeing him there?
He wandered off a lot.
Can you imagine? Anyway, just know that he was there with us. And you're actually going to see people that you recognize. Sinette Oye, who was always on here, is there. You see Sinette Newt, also known as Michelle Mendez, is there. You see Aboot Mahert there. You see other folks who are regularly, Sen Corey is there. One of the priests of the Temple of Anu is right in the back in the middle. Abu Majuti is there. There's so many folks here that have been part of our journey here as we are bringing forward the memory of our African ancestors. I know that Sinette Kawanda and Sinette Naisha also are folks that come on to Kemetic Ascension. I don't know if they're there. They also traveled to Ghana with us, and we really enjoyed having them on that journey. Look at Sinette Lucille. So many other people. I know I'm going to forget someone. Please don't. Oh, there's Yasir. Look at Yasir, the half of his head behind Shaddai's head. He is there. You see just half. Yasir, you didn't notice that only half of your face was showing, brother? Half of his face. Look at him. And there's my brother from another mother, Shaddai, with his wife and his 2 sons. That brother and I have been together since we were 6. It was wonderful for him to be there with his family. I got to spend time with my sister-in-law and my nephews. And so this was really a powerful trip. And you see my mother here with the floppy hat smiling with the cane there. We were having a lot of time. Can you look at Anika and I? We're just cheesing, right? And we know that Sen Daniel is actually on. He's right. I just saw Sen Daniel. There are his daughters there. Here he is. There he is behind his wife here. We know he's on. So Sen Daniel is also there. Right by the recruit there. Yeah, that's right. So we had an amazing experience, and we really hope that you have the opportunity to take these journeys with us as well, because we really experienced some amazing things on this incredible journey. Sinette Rhonda, how are you? How are you? Seeing yourself in the picture? What you thinking? And so it's wonderful that so many of those folks were there with us. I know Sen Youssef might be on. He's someone that's kind of around the Shrine of Ma'at regularly as well. This was an amazing journey. It really was an amazing journey. A journey where we recognized the power of the ancestors, where we studied the power of the African aesthetic, the African tradition, the African paradigm. It was powerful. And as we took this journey, I'm going to say to you that I also heard some things that were a little disturbing along this trip to Kemet and to Ghana. I actually heard about a situation involving a brother who was very popular in the Kemetic community. And I actually said that I did not intend to actually speak to this here, but I think I need to, particularly because there are some who are trying to use his misfortune, the things that he may or may not have done, to pillory all of us, to attack all of us. And so I really wanted to clarify who we are, what we stand for, what our powerful paradigm is today. This is of critical importance. So today I'd like to speak to you from the word of the Sabaeed, about the power of the African queen and the importance of protecting Black women. Take a look at these images here. Take a look at these images here. How many of them can you name? There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 images here. How many of them can you name? Can you recognize them? Do you know who they are? I want you to tell me if you know who they are. But as we do this, I want you to also recognize that it's of critical importance for us to talk about how Africans handle the power of divine femininity. How Africans, ancient Africans particularly, were focused on the power of our mothers, the powers of our mates, the powers of our daughters, the powers of women in our existence. This is of critical importance as we deal with the disturbing allegations that have been levied against Brother Polite, also known as Michael Nowak, which I believe is his birth name. You may have heard that he was recently arrested. You may have heard that the allegations are quite serious, that he is going to be he's going to be dealing with a really serious legal situation. And you should know that he might actually be looking at quite a few years in prison for sexually abusing a minor. And so this is something that is really serious. Brother Polite is someone that I have known for a number of years. He's been here and spoken with me. He's been someone that has also been very popular on Sonnetter TV. In the community that is often called the conscious community, there are few people who are better known. He comes out of the Nawapian movement. And so in some ways, there are many who consider him part of the Kemetic tradition, but I actually question that reality sometimes as well. And so I think that it is really, really interesting that some people have tried to look at these allegations, which are very serious, and say that this is the fault. And as one popular YouTuber has said, this is the fault of those individuals who go to Kemet and carry ankhs. Let's be really clear that there are very few people that go back and forth to Kemet and carry an ankh other than Anika and myself. So in many ways, I think that what they're trying to do is they're looking at these disturbing allegations and they are attempting to say that this is normal in our community, that Brother Polite is a member of our community in some way, although he is not initiated in any shrine. He is not a Kemetic spiritual practitioner in any way that I could possibly deduce. That is what people are attempting to do. So here's the question we have to ask. If he is saying that that is occurring because we find ourselves in the Kemetic tradition, what is it that the Kemetic tradition says about the power of divine femininity? What do our Kemetic ancestors portend about the power of women? Are women to be abused? Are children, especially female children, women, young girls, to be abused? Is this something that is endemic in the Kemetic community? Is this something that you can find in our descriptions of how the Kemetic tradition in the ancient world was rendered and how the Kemetic tradition in the modern world should be rendered? This is a topic that we need to address in order to shed light on the fallacy of this particular argument, which we are continuing to hear. I want to begin here. Look at this picture. You'll notice that it has no caption yet. It has no title yet. You use the one with the title?
It's the one that you have here.
No, there's two there. There should be two in that folder. One of them should not have the title. What's happening? No, that's only one of the, no. But there's other slides in there. Look at the other slides.
This is the PowerPoint presentation.
Yes, but I gave you slides. Slides. Look at the slides. Look at the slide. You know how I give you images, JPEGs? Uh-oh, Anika's rusty. Uh-oh.
We're using a different platform. I'm sharing screen, so it's easier.
Yes, but look at the JPEGs. And if you're going to use those slides, don't go through the.
Okay, I'll figure it out. Don't worry about it. Go back to what you're doing.
And if you do it that way, remember, it will go through the images. I didn't want you to do that because I wanted to ask a fundamental question. Here is the question I wanted to ask. Who is this in the image? I wanted to know how many of you know who these individuals are. What do you think they are doing? What region are they from? That's the question I would like to ask of you. Who are they? Now let's see. I know that you had some images on the screen a little prematurely, but let me see. Do we have some answers? Can people tell me what they think about this statue? Where is it? Give me a rundown of what we should understand, what we should take away from this statue. What is its meaning? Who are these people?
Candaces. Rastaharka says the Candaces.
Rastaharka says the Candaces. Okay. Anyone else? Are they both Candaces? Or is one of them a Candace? What are we seeing? And I'm noticing that you're using the word Candace. Is that the word that we should use? Anyone else? Anyone else? Is that it?
Not yet.
Well, let me say to you that as you look at this statue, you are looking at a magnificent piece that is at the Nubian Museum in the modern Egyptian city known as Aswan. This is the Nubian Museum. And it's very interesting that there is no caption for this statue, although we know with pretty good confidence who this is. This is of real importance for us to understand who this is with regard to the way that our Kemetic ancestors, and I'm going to use a different term here, our Kemetic Cushitic ancestors understand the role of women. Who are we looking at? Come on, move forward now.
Question as to where Aswan is located.
Aswan is located in an area that could be considered Kemetic Nubia. Kemetic Nubia. So it's in the border, within the border of what we would consider Kemet. You should know that most of what we would consider Nubia or Kush actually is in what we would call today, this computer is not liking itself today, is in what we would call today the Sudan, right? But this is one of those queen kings that the Romans called the Candaces. In fact, the name Candace, I know you know people with the name Candace. The name Candace is a reference to these powerful queen kings. You should know that in Kush, the king's title was Kore. The king was the Kore, the queen was the Candace. But something very interesting happens, and it happens first with this divine sister, this divine queen. Her name is Shenakdekete, sometimes rendered Shenakdeketo. Please say her name where you are so that our ancestors will continue to live in glorious immortality. Say her name. You are looking at Shenakdekete. Shenakdekete. And the person on her left, on the right of this image, is believed to be her nephew who is paying homage to her, who is assisting her with placing her crown. She is the first of the rulers known as the Kandake. Like I said, the Romans started taking the word Kandake and then calling them Candaces. That's like a Romanization of the name. But she is the first Kandake who is believed to also rule on her own. She is the titular head of Kush the titular head of Kemet from the periods of around 177 BCE to 155 BCE. She is the head of that kingdom by herself. And if you're confused about what kind of lady she is, folks are making fun of me when I took this picture, you should know. Take a look at the image on the right. Look at her large derriere. I mean, they're like saying, look, this is an African lady, right? This is a sister. This is a sister who is powerful, who rules on her own. Now, I know that I often talk about the relative egalitarian existence of Kemetic women, but I think something very interesting occurs. You must understand that Kemet, as long as it lasts, Kemet, existing in power for over 3,000 years, does eventually have a fall. But in some ways, the story of the Kemetic tradition does not end there. We continue to see that in Kush, Kemetic spirituality, Kemetic philosophy continues to flourish for at least another 300 to 600 years. And during that time, we don't just see sisters be relatively equal to men. As the story of Kemet and Kush continues, we see sisters actually rise to power. Now, you know that there were a few queens who ruled as king during Kemet, maybe as many as 4 of them. The most well-known of them is likely the queen that you have heard of, rendered as Hatshepsut Ma'at Kare. Hatshepsut Ma'at Kare. By the way, I usually say Ma'at Kara, but I'm saying Ma'at Kare because that's the way that Baba Ranoko Rashidi would have said it, just so you know. Anyway, she was a queen that ruled as king. And as you look here, you'll see that there are a number of queens who have the title Kore and Kandake. And this is the first of them. In a statue that is not titled, in a museum, Anika, tell me if I am not telling the truth, rescue me if I am wrong, a museum that almost no one goes to. There are at least 2 museums that we go to, sometimes 3 museums that we go to in Kemet. I'm going to tell you, they turn on the lights and the AC when we get there. Now, you know, if you are in the city of Aswan, which is all the way south in Egypt, I'm using Egypt intentionally, talking about the modern place, all the way south in Kemet, let's just say, it is really hot. We've been there when it's been over 120 degrees, really, really hot, and the sun is intense. For them to just turn on the lights and the AC when we get there, you must know nobody else has been there the entire day. That is what that means. So some of the most important pieces that tell about the greatness, the legacy, the contribution of your African ancestors are not usually seen by most, even though millions of people travel to modern day Egypt every year. And this is really disturbing to me that so many people are not able to see this. As we go forward, you're going to see that there were at least 8 queens, sometimes listed as many as 13 queens, that ruled as queen king during this time, starting with Shenaktakete, who you're seeing here in the statue that you just saw. And then you have the next one that comes forward about 100 years later. You see the powerful queen known as Amani Reines. Amani Reines. By the way, we say Amani Reines. I want you to recognize that that title Aman is a rendition of Amen or Amun. So you can tell they are practicing the same spiritual form as we are familiar with in Kemet. And this is an artist's rendition of her. There are several of them online that I think are really interesting. I had never seen this one, so I'm including it. I think that it's so interesting. Do you notice that she is wearing an eye patch? It is believed that Amani Reines fought Augustus Caesar. That when the Romans were attempting, when they were considering that they were going to try to extend further into Kemet during the time they had control, further into Kush during the time they were in control of Kemet, it is argued that Amani-Rhanes continued to rebuff them, to push them back. And in fact, sometimes she would go into Kemet and sack the Roman army there. And I really believe it's because the Cushitic people really believe that the Romans should not be there. They believe that their people should be on the throne of Kemet. At one point, because she signs treaties with the Romans, and then as soon as Romans are not looking, she breaks the treaties. She just breaks them because she's like, look, y'all shouldn't be here anyway. She uses treaties strategically rather than morally. That's the kind of leader she is. She does what she thinks is what will give her nation and herself the most power. Very interesting ruler. At one point, they set a trap for her. They decide that they are going to not actually pull a large section of the Roman military out, that they're going to lay in wait, hiding for her. And when she goes forward with her army, she is ambushed. And it's believed that they are going to finally dispense with her. But you should know Amani-Rhanes is a powerful warrior queen. She continues to fight, and she fights even after she loses an eye in the battle. She fights with a small number of soldiers, and she wins. It is believed that she cuts the head of a statue of the Caesar off of a statue and takes it back to bury it under her feet in her throne room back in Kush. Powerful, powerful queen. I have also read that there are some legends that say that she didn't ride a horse. Guess what she rode into battle? An elephant. That's what we're hearing this powerful queen was able to do. So then after Amani-Rhanes, we actually see that there was a gap between Kandake and Amani-Rhanes of about 100 years. But after Amani-Rhanes, then we see Amani-Sheketo, who comes right after her, who is then the ruler. You should know that it is at this point where the rule of these great queens as the titular head of Nubia is expected. Take a look at some of the beautiful pieces of sa, protective amulets, of what we might call today jewelry, which is not really a great term for it. Take a look at the beautiful sa that belong to Amani-Sheketo. Beautiful, beautiful. Some of these pieces are in the Boston Museum of Fine Arts. Then we have Amani-Tore, who rules immediately after that. And she spans what's usually called BCE and CE, before the Common Era and the Common Era. Sometimes she's depicted as a heavy-set lady, So we see Amani-Tore. Then we see Amani-Tarikide. And Anika, do you look at this piece on the left here? Oh, okay, she's doing a lot of stuff back there. I wanted her her take on it. I think the piece on the left is very interesting when you look at it. And what I wanted to ask her, and also ask you, is what you think that piece is. It is quite magnificent. That is gold that you are seeing. I have recently heard that what you are seeing is actually an ear post. She would have worn this in her ear. Imagine this amazing, amazing piece of gold. You should know that one of the reasons why it's believed that that land of Kush might have actually become known as Nubia at one point. There are some that argue the Kemetic name for gold is Nub. And so there are many who believe that really what they are trying to say is that Kush is the golden land. There are some that argue that is what is happening. And then you're going to see an offering table. She is pouring offerings with a mut headdress on, with anpu. Can you see that? Very interesting. They're pouring water offerings on this offering table. You're going to see another offering table by Amani Katashan. Amani Katashan. And she here is even being depicted as what I would probably say is a version of, perhaps that's a version of Het Heru. Look, she has a bowl in her head. And she is pouring water offerings with Anpu.
In the head and Anpu.
In the head.
Mm-hmm.
What did I just say?
Het Heru.
Oh yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm sorry. In bed head. In bed head. In bed head. And so, but this is supposed to be her. So she's being depicted as in bed head. Mm-hmm. And she's making offerings, pouring water offerings here. We don't have many images of the two other queens that we can clearly say are images of them. But you should understand that there are 4 of them. After Amani Katashan, we have Malekorobar, Malekorobar, say the names with me, please, and Lahi Diamani. Lahi Diamani. These are powerful queens. And can you see they start as early as 177 BCE, going all the way up to 314 CE. So we're talking about a period of really about 500 years where it is very common to see queens rule in their own right. There are some that also argue that some of these queens also had multiple husbands. Powerful, powerful queens. If this is your standard, if this is your story, if this is the way that your tradition comes into the world, can anyone argue that you do not have respect, reverence for the divine feminine? Can anyone argue that we believe that that really girls should be abused if this is our standard? I want to just lay it bare here that there are some people who are saying negative things, vile things about the Kemetic tradition. In fact, the same brother who seems to be referring to me actually says that this is happening because we have given up on God. So he's trying to use the things that Brother Polite may or may not have done, and he's alleged to do, to try to once again insult and to say the most vile things about the Kemetic community. And it needs to be spoken. Now, let's be clear. That same brother who made those comments is a Hebrew Israelite. In fact, many times he says that he's an Old Testament only Hebrew Israelite. And I want to say, if you are getting a sense of the Kemetic tradition and the standard that we have, the way that we view women, look at this Old Testament text, the book of Leviticus. And listen, in other times in Kemetic Ascension, I have gone through misogyny in the Bible. I wanted to give you a few more quotes because I hope you don't think that what I was telling you before about misogyny was sort of the comprehensive description of misogyny in the Bible. It is not. Just basically understand that we could even just see misogyny based on how the reproductive system of women is described as something that is unclean. Take a look at Leviticus 19. It says, whenever a woman has her menstrual period, she will be ceremonially unclean for 7 days. Anyone who touches her during that time will be unclean until evening. Anything on which the woman lies or sits during the time of her period will be unclean. If any of you touch her bed, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourselves in water, and you will remain unclean until evening. If you touch an object that she has sat on, you must wash your clothes and bathe yourself in water, and you will remain clean until evening. It continues. If a man has sexual intercourse with her and her blood touches him, her menstrual impurity will be transmitted to him. He will remain unclean for 7 days, and any bed on which he lies will be unclean. Can you see how they have rendered the female reproductive system as dirty? When we look at the female reproductive system today, some of this has even gone into the way that the West views the female reproductive system. Anika and I have always had this conversation. Whenever you look at commercials for what are called sanitary products. By the way, if they're called sanitary products, you should know that they are for sanitation, which means they're for something that is dirty. So right off the bat, when we're talking about the items that are used during the menstrual cycle of women, in the West, we are saying implicitly, explicitly, that the menstrual cycle of women is dirty, and that they're dirty for a good part of the month. Part of this is why we have this view of women being secondary, being lower. That's where some of this comes from. In fact, today, when you see these advertisements for menstrual products that are often called sanitary products, you'll even note that when they're trying to tell you that something is absorbent and can actually hold lots of liquid, they even refrain from pouring anything red in it because they don't want to offend you by actually having you understand that they're dealing with blood. Just recently, in fact, Anika noticed a commercial where we see something light red being poured in. And I just found an article that I meant to send you that says it is the first commercial to use red. The first commercial. I've always said that I want to embarrass and shame the West. I'm going to make a sanitary napkin, and instead of pouring some little blue or purple liquid in, I'm going to use chunky marinara and just pour it in so all of y'all can get past this ridiculousness. That something about the feminine menstrual cycle is dirty. Let's stop it. It comes from the spiritual tradition of the West. That's why when Mary gives birth to Jesus, what is it called? An immaculate conception, inferring that all other conception must be less than immaculate, must in fact be dirty. In the Kemetic tradition, there are spiritual births all the time. No one calls it immaculate conception, as in all the other ways that you come into the world from between your mother's legs is dirty. This is crazy. This is crazy. But that is what has come to us down through the Abrahamic traditions. Let's continue in the book of Leviticus. It says, if a woman has a flow of blood for many days that is unrelated to her menstrual period, or if the blood continues beyond the normal period, she is ceremonially unclean. As during her menstrual period, the woman will be unclean as long as the discharge continues. Continue. Let's continue. When the woman's bleeding stops, she must count off 7 days. Then she will be ceremonially clean. On the 8th day, she must bring 2 turtle doves and 2 young pigeons and present them to the priest at the entrance of the tabernacle. The priest will offer one for a sin offering and the other for a burnt offering. Through the process, the priest will purify her before the Lord for the ceremonial impurity caused by her bleeding. This is how you will guard the people of Israel from ceremonial uncleanliness. Otherwise, they would die, for their impurity would defile my tabernacle that stands among them. Can you imagine how they are describing the menstrual cycle of our mothers, of our mates, of our daughters as so unclean that you have to do a sacrifice? Family, most of y'all were Christian at some point. Did y'all take some pigeons or some turtle doves to the church for the priest to make a sacrifice? So that the whole nation would not die in impurity? What kind of madness is this? What kind of foolishness is this? This is what happens when you get the youngest people on the planet trying to render, trying to describe, trying to fathom the most important of mechanisms in the human life. Without the female menstrual cycle, would any of us be here? How could it be filthy? That means you were born in filth. This is a problem. This is a problem. How many of the sisters, the wonderful queens, the incredible mothers who are in that church feel dirty, feel unclean when looked at in relation to men because of the cycle that creates all things? How could this exist? You have heard me say before that Jabari Osaze, the Hemet Neter Entepi of this shrine, the Hemneter Entepi, I'm thinking about women. The Hemneter Entepi of this shrine is not saying that you cannot be a Christian, but I'm saying that you got to be a different Christian once you know. You can't continue to do this stuff, this misogynistic, backward stuff. Stop it. If I am offending someone, my intent is not offense. My intent is to illustrate those things that we have acquired since we brought this divine knowledge into the world that does not suit us. That is what my attempt is here. It does not suit us. You got to do a sacrifice to purify yourself and the temple because of the impurity that your menstrual cycle has brought into the world? What madness is this? What madness is this? If this is the way that you view the fundamental practices of women, of course you think that you can abuse them. Of course you think you should do negative things to them, because your tradition is saying that they are not full members of the world, of the body of Christ. That's what it's saying. That's not how the Kemetic tradition is rendered. The oldest tradition on the planet is not rendered this way. I'm sure there's a lot of conversation in there. I want you to know that some of you might think that that stuff is old, but look at how it came into the Western world. These are ads from the United States. Look at the one on the left. The harm that women do themselves. Intimate use of harsh antiseptics leads to untold damage. Women now hail a gentle, safe means. By the way, they are saying that women should be douching with Listerine. I'm going to tell you that I could barely use Listerine as a mouthwash. It burns like all heck. I cannot imagine using Listerine on your intimate areas, ladies. But that's exactly what women in the United States were doing for a really long time. And listen to some of the things that it says. It says Listerine is, first of all, safe. It is neither poisonous nor irritating. How in the world could you say Listerine is not irritating? How many of you have put Listerine in your mouth? Can you imagine putting Listerine in your cot? Listerine in your head and net? What madness is this? And why should you do it? They say it possesses great penetrating power. Diluted with 1 part water, it kills germs. Even when used with 5 parts water, it inhibits the growth of bacteria and maintains cleanliness and freshness. It deodorizes instantly. Can you imagine the kind of imbalance that you're introducing into your reproductive system if you're putting Listerine into your vagina? And it's not just Listerine. Look at the one in the middle. Now, I know that you know Lysol cleaner. It kills everything. I mean, even on the label it says the easy brand, Lysol brand disinfectant, the easy way. Walls, floors, kitchens, sick rooms, babies' rooms, porcelain, linoleum, bathrooms, woodwork, floor tile, refuse pails, pails for filth, refuse pails, diaper pails. And then underneath that, what does it say? Douche. Does the Western world want you to believe that your vagina is dirty, is filthy, that the practices which create every single living life, that's right, living life, on this plane that comes out of that tradition is filthy? You have to see that it comes from their spiritual tradition. Why y'all still fighting for it? Take it back. Go back to the ancient ways. Let's go further. Look at the one on the right. This is also for Lysol. It says it's a test for, and here's the quote, model wives. If you want to be a model wife, you had better use Lysol on your vagina. Beware of one neglect. Asterisk. that sometimes kills romance. Look at what you did. You destroyed your relationship because you did not use Lysol, a very caustic cleaner in your most intimate area. What is happening? And listen to the things that they're saying. This is the way that women should be judged. Are you a good housekeeper? Do you take care of your looks? Are your meals appetizing? Do you avoid nagging? Are you economical? And then finally, are you always careful about feminine hygiene? Because your feminine hygiene will destroy all those other things, because these are things that you're going to be measured on. Did anyone say that this man needs to clean his testicles with Lysol? Did anyone say that his cleanliness is of importance? No, because he's not being measured on that. It is only the woman. Why? Because her reproductive system is filthy, according to this thinking. We have to get past this. So, what is the Kemetic ideal? What is that symbol in the middle? This red symbol that looks like an ankh with its arms laying flat. This symbol is known as the Tiet. Say Tiet with me. It is considered the belt buckle or the knot of Ast, sometimes called Isis, sometimes called Auset. Please, let's not argue over Ast or Auset. Know that Isis is a Greek name. But this cloth was usually tied around the abdomen of women, particularly to deal with menstrual pain. But you should know that your African ancestors looked at the menstrual cycle very differently from these young people on the planet. They didn't say that you were ceremonially dirty. You better understand that Ast cures with the blood of her menses. Look at this section that comes from the Reyu Pert and Maroon Ger in chapter 156. It says, it is called the formula for a Tiet knot of jasper. First of all, you should know that these are often carved out of red jasper stone. That's what you're seeing here. It says, your blood is yours, Ast. Your powers of light are yours, Ast. Your powers of words are yours, Ast. Amulets are the protection of this great one, guarding against the work that would inflict his injury. Words spoken over Tiet knot of jasper, sprinkled with water of the Ankh Imi plant, strung on a fiber of sycamore, and placed on the neck of the blessed dead on the day of burial. As for anyone at whose neck these amulets are placed, the powers of Ast will be the protection of his body, so that Haru, son of Ast, will rejoice over him when he sees him in secrecy. No way is against him. His arm is towards heaven. His arm is towards earth. A correct matter 1,000,000 times. So they're actually saying that your ability to actually thwart death comes from the healing of the blood of Ast. Is this not radically different than what we see in the other traditions? This is the elder tradition. This is of critical importance. If you see women, if you see girls as secondary citizens, if you see the things that are particular to women as filthy, as dirty, as things that absolutely cause impurity, of course you view them as secondary, as negative, as people that can be preyed upon. That is not our way. And I want to leave you with a section of the oldest complete book, the very first maxim written by this man who at the age of 110 comes into the world. He says, be not arrogant with your wisdom. The greatest knowledge can be found amongst the women toiling at the millstone. So he's actually saying, with all the things that you learn, dear brother, don't think that you are higher than those poor working women who grind bread every day. So I have to say to you, beloved, that we hear so many negative things about our sisters. And we hear about people who prey upon them, and not just women, but also little girls. What kind of world are we living in? We know that this is true. We know that this happens all too frequently, particularly in communities that are of African descent, because we tend to be those communities that have the least number of resources, whose families are in turmoil because of the lack of resources. We know that Black women and girls have been preyed upon. And that when a Black woman or girl goes missing, if it isn't for our community, nobody looks for them. But you have a little blonde-haired girl go missing, and now she is a cause célèbre, and she's on the cover of every newspaper and is being talked about in the media incessantly. We must make sure that we are protecting Black women and girls. This is our standard. We, the eldest practitioners on the planet, look at the role of women, the role of the divine feminine, the role of girls as absolutely essential to our being as human beings. This is our standard. How could anyone try to pillory us with the actions, the alleged actions of an individual, knowing that this is our standard? All I should say to them is, look at your own book for your standard. How dare you say those sorts of vile things about the practitioners of the Kemetic traditions? Family, remember that our sisters are our equals, brothers. They are our equals, and they may even be even more important than us. It is of critical importance for us to recognize the role of women and girls in our lives, and to recognize the divine feminine in its centrality in our understanding of the divine. With that, let me say the divine force in me is the divine force in you. Twalu, thank you very much for being part of this discussion. I hope that it's going to give you the basis for lots of discussion over the course of the rest of the day, the rest of the week. Please remind everyone that ancient Africa has a very different view of women. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Anika, can we go to our final affirmation?
Before we go to our information, I just want to say dua to all those who made donations. Dua to everyone for just being part of Kemetic Ascension. But I want to just give special shout outs to Nubian Grace Restoration, Sinette Olivia McGraw, Sen Larry Jackson Jr., Sinette Tracy Walker, Sen Andre Bryant. Twalu for your donations. They really do help us get our work done, so we appreciate it. If there's anyone who would like to continue to make donations, you can do so via Cash App at $Shrine of Ma'at, or through PayPal at shrineofma'at.org, which you can see on the screen right now. So Twalu for all of you for everything that you've done in support of our shrine. I also want to let people know that we have classes that are getting ready to start through our Center for the Restoration of Ma'at. So starting this Wednesday, Jabari will be teaching 3 millennia of excellence, which will actually go through 3,000 years of Kemetic history from Dynasty 0 to Dynasty 31. So if you're interested in learning, please register as soon as possible. The class will be starting on Wednesday at 7 p.m. So we need to have you registered immediately so we can send you a link for the class. So you can find out more information about that at centerforma'at.com. My class in the language, the Medu Netter, will be starting the following week on Tuesday at 7 p.m. So if you're interested in learning how to speak the Medu Netter and how to write in the Medu Netter, please register for my class. Again, that will start the following Tuesday at 7 p.m. And again, go to our website at centerforma'at.com to be able to register for those classes. There will be other classes coming up in the future as well. So if you're interested in learning more about them, join our mailing list when you go to the website, and you'll get regular updates on what our offerings are.
Dua.
Okay. So if you can all stand in the pose of adoration with me, we will end with the oldest prayer found in the Reu Impert Mheru Nger, known as the Book of Coming Forth by Day from Night. And we call it the Amasu. So please repeat after me. Amasu and Patenter.
Amasu and Patenter.
Sauksu.
Sauksu.
Ementra.
Ementra.
And Patenter.
And Patenter.
Autu.
Autu.
Aura.
Aura.
Maketipa.
Maketipa.
Herura.
Herura.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Give yourself to the One Most High.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
Keep yourself daily for the divine.
And do it tomorrow.
And do it tomorrow.
Just as you did it
Just
today.
as you did it today.
Twa Winter.
Twa Winter.
Thank you to the divine, and thank you to all of you.
Twa. I'm so happy that you've been with us for Kemetic Ascension for August 29th, 2021. We will see you in 2 weeks. Remember, we have lots of stuff going on. So keep track of our Facebook pages so that you're really able to integrate into the shrine and be part of the things that we're doing. So thank you once again. Dwa to all of you. And Shema Matep, go forth in peace.
Shema Matep.